Okay, so over the past few weeks, I've been talking about the issue of concussions within the NHL. In my blog, I've touched on some of the popular theories of how we can reduce concussions within the game. So far, we've mentioned the removal of body contact and that the average size of the NHL player has become too big. The game may also be getting too fast, which could indicate that we need to make the ice surfaces larger. Along with me, I have fellow hockey fan Ben Taylor to help discuss and voice his personal opinions on the contributing factors of concussions within the game of hockey. Welcome, Ben. It's good to have you here.
It's good to be here, Kevin.
So, first off, why do you think that there is such a rise in concussions over the past few years?
I think it's a variety of different reasons, from the speed of the game, the size of the players, and also the size of the equipment that they're using.
I agree. In my first blog post, I mentioned that players are getting too big. They're too strong. Their fitness level has become so high that when you put all these guys together on a closed ice surface, when they start hitting each other, when they start going into the corners together, they're going to definitely hurt each other when they're going to hit and fight over the puck. So that's one issue that I've already discussed. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I think that's definitely a big reason. I think players today are in really good physical condition. They're way faster and they're in great shape. So when you have players like that and they run into each other, you're definitely going to see concussions.
Now, when we talk about the equipment in the game, shoulder pads seem to be a big issue. That it gets too big, they're too strong, and people are going around using them and hitting each other, like body checking people's heads. So, do you think that the increased padding on their shoulders are causing a lot of concussions?
I think that could be part of the reason. I think it might be the materials that they use. They use hard plastic to make the shoulder pieces and elbow pads as well. I think the league should really explore alternative protective equipment, such as maybe foam or gel or something like that, rather than the plastic.
Yeah, because it's not like they can get rid of them altogether. People are shooting pucks a lot harder than they used to due to composite sticks. So the players do need the extra padding. But yeah, I agree that we do need to find an alternative to the hard plastics because a lot of guys are just running around, and when it comes to headshots, people are getting concussions from it. So another issue that I've heard here is that the ice rink, the surfaces are too small. You got 10 guys out there skating for the puck, and they're skating at high speeds, well over 30 miles an hour. Do you think that maybe if they made the ice surfaces bigger, it'd give guys more room? They wouldn't be hitting each other so much. If they lose an edge going into the corner, they're going to go head first in the board. So, maybe if they had a little bit more space out there, there'd be less concussions. What do you think about that?
I think that might lessen the number of concussions a little bit, but overall, I don't think it's a huge contributing factor. Personally, I like the size of the rinks they have in today's game.
Yeah, I can see it being an issue because they're going to have to change a lot of the rules. So it might be something that's going to take a little bit more time if they decided that the ice surface size was the contributing factor. Another thing that seems to be going on is players are just blatantly giving headshots to each other. It almost seems like there's a lack of respect among players within the NHL. Do you find that could be there's some truth to that?
There could be some truth to that. I'm not really sure. I've I've noticed there's a lack of enforcers out there, and that could lead to a little bit more running around on the ice, a few more dirty hits. But I don't know if that's really a huge contributing factor.
Now, a lot of people are saying that without the enforcers, there's no one to keep the players accountable, such as like policing the game. Players are just out there; they know they're not going to be accountable if they do make a cheap shot on somebody. Like, for example, Sidney Crosby. If someone was to cheap shot him, who's going to defend him? The enforcers are leaving the game, so I feel that a lot of people are out there. They know there's going to be no consequences if they do any cheap shots. So there might be a little bit more incentive there to be a little bit of a dirty player, which can contribute to more concussions. So that could also be a little underlying factor there that they're just getting rid of all these enforcers. Now, another thing is just hitting in the game. A lot of people would agree that there shouldn't be contact in hockey, and that's the reason why we have concussions. do you find that maybe if there was no hitting, do you think that would completely destroy the game of hockey, or do you think that could actually move us in the right direction? A lot of these European guys, they don't hit as much as the North American players do, but do you think that's like it still can be in the game, but do you think that if there was a little bit less hitting, that's the problem?
No, I don't. I don't really buy into that. I like hitting in the game. That's the way that hockey was invented. That's the way it should be played. And yeah, I think it'd be completely negative for the league to take hitting away from the game. The fans would be against it, the players would be against it, and the coaches would be against it. It would definitely be a huge negative.
Okay, and like there has been research done that shows that leagues where there are no hitting, such as women's hockey leagues, they actually do have a higher rate of concussions. But I'm not going to say that that's due to gender differences at all. I think that women are just more likely to say that they have a concussion, or they're going to admit when they have symptoms. Men are likely to just play through it because they don't want to seem uh, like they're weak or anything. They want to just suck it up and do the man thing. So, but what I'm going with that is I just think that if they took hitting out of the game, people aren't going to be ready to take like an unexpected hit or a collision. They're not going to know how to handle that. So I think by having everybody well educated on how to give and receive a hit properly, we are kind of going to protect ourselves from getting concussions.
I think, as far as women speaking up about hitting, I think you're seeing a lot more players speak up about having concussions now. There's much more awareness of long-term effects of concussions, and I think the players are more aware, the coaches and medical staff are more aware, and you're seeing more players speak up and say, I have a concussion, I have concussion-like symptoms, and that is part of the reason why there seems to be more concussions.
Yeah, clearly there's more awareness and education behind it. We do know the effects that can occur from people who have suffered more than one concussion. There's a lot of negative effects there. So yeah, it's definitely good that they've created a lot of awareness within the league. Players are now more likely to express it, but it hasn't always been that way. So that alone could just be an explanation of why we're seeing more concussions. Players feel comfortable saying, you know what, something's not right with me. I just took a big hit, or I fell on my head. I gotta get this looked at. So they're kind of burying that feeling that you can't speak up if you're injured. This manly thing to do is just to suck it up, and they're kind of turning away from that now, which is a positive thing. So I think that's going to help us reduce a lot of at least post injuries and stuff. Is we have that ability now that we can just say we don't want to play through if we're injured. So I don't know. I think that this covers a lot of what's out there right now. Can you think of any other reasons that there might be concussions?
I think there's a lot of small factors that factor in, but I think we've covered a lot of the major issues involving concussions in the NHL.
Now, if there was one big thing that you can see in the league that needs to be changed, what do you think it could be to improve player safety?
I think they just have to keep reaching awareness and just practicing safe hitting. Just no headshots. Keep penalizing players for making headshots, and just keep the awareness level high for players in the NHL.
I agree. That seems to be the best thing to do right now. Is just educate players and fans on what they need to look for when they get hit, and just they're coming out with a bunch of new inventions here. I saw in the news there was this shock meter that you put on top of your helmet that can measure how many G forces was in a hit or a fall. So we're moving in the right direction here. I think there's a lot of good things that are coming out of all of this. We're getting a lot more educated, and we're learning how to kind of protect ourselves from concussions. So I just like to thank you, Ben, for voicing your opinions here, and just hope that everyone can just keep following my blog here and stay up to date on the new posts. So I just want to thank you, Ben. Thanks for being here.
Yep, no problem. I'm always willing to talk about hockey.
Okay, and we may do another podcast in the future, so stay tuned. Thanks, everybody.